Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today I'm going to take you on a quick tour through the gardens and maybe harvest a few things. Fall is right around the corner and my expected first frost here in zone 6A is not far away. I don't typically do garden tours this late, so we're going to have some different lighting around the property, so it's going to be nice, but I'm going to try and go through this pretty quickly because you know what's going on here. I did just do a full pond tour last video, so I'm not going to spend too much time down here, but I didn't talk a lot about the plants. The gourd here that volunteered has been doing amazing. Like, look how framed out those two gourds dangling there are. And I didn't touch this at all except for to wrap it around the stone here. I didn't want it crossing the path. I wanted it to kind of shape right around, but I didn't prune it back here. I just left it go. I have been pruning it way back off my marigolds, so I had to keep those marigolds showing. So this gourd had to be a little bit more tamed. I also had to cut out my succulent garden here because they just wanted to keep covering that up. So the succulent garden has been growing in nicely. But the petunias have been really nice, and the impatiens on the top of the waterfall have just been way better than I expected. I'm really happy I put that hedge there, and they really filled in better than I thought they would. And we're still getting some color on the left side from the brocade marigolds. The two dahlias I put up there, the purple and the red, as well as the zinnias in the back and that volunteer cosmos. We have the bed of portulaca at the bottom, and the butterfly bush just keeps putting on color. I don't know when that's going to finish. My palm tree did not do what I thought it would do. I thought it'd get a lot bigger than that, but it didn't. The koi fish are doing really well in the pond, and the pond is nice and clear. You can see them all. The bass did not eat my koi yet, so I'm really happy about that. But I've been really loving the color of the fish inside the water here. Puppy loves his beach. He's been hanging out there all the time. And the ramp bed back here has been really nice. Just a simple combination of the brocade marigolds at the bottom and the California giant marigolds. Just looks gorgeous right now. But I think the pond bank here was another success this year. It filled out really nice. And even though we were late over here getting the trellis up for the vine, they made it all the way to the top. And we didn't need a full coverage here, but I really like the lacy feel it has. And the hummingbird feeder is right there, so it gives them a nice coverage. And oh, we're actually going to get a bloom. There's the bloom from the Mina Labota Jungle Queen. And the hummingbirds love it. What a gorgeous flower. So that actually worked out really well this year too. The rose bed did not. But the containers on the steps did really well. Up here at the pergola, we have a lot going on. We have the sweet autumn clematis that started blooming here. This is its first year, so it didn't make it all the way to the top, but I know next year that's definitely gonna make it up there. It's gonna be a big plant here on the corner. It's probably gonna be about the same size as this honeysuckle right now, and it's still actually blooming. So this thing has been blooming all season long, giving off some nice fragrance and scent. And the silver lace vine has just taken over this corner in the archway, just really filling in nicely. I moved this little iron set that I had, and I didn't have a tabletop, so I got one of these bowls from my grandma's house and just threw it in here as a bird bath. And I think this has a really nice picturesque setting right now. What do you think? Let me know. But this archway is gorgeous right here. We don't have a lot of blooms going on, but we still have a lot of life back here with the elephant ears. The castor beans got some size on them. And the sunflowers are all finished up. They still have a lot of sunflower seed in there for the birds to get to. If I want to get to them, I still have a few back here. And we did get a fruit off of this thing, so I might have to take that up to the pigs. The gourds ended up actually climbing the trellis and making it all the way to the top of the pergola, but it's just way too late in the season and the nights are already getting into the 40s. So there's no way these gourds up here are going to produce. But we do have a female flower right here with a little birdhouse gourd on it. But I still like the way the pergola turned out this year. We had one hyacinth bean vine bloom, and this one here is it. It is already going to seed. It still has a little bit of blooms left on it, but I planted I think 6 of them here and only one grew up, but at least we got one. And the red trumpet vine didn't get out of control this year. I didn't get to the expansion of this trellis. I did the archway over there for the silver lace, but I didn't get to this one. I ran out of time. Once it leafed out, I don't really have access to the wood in there. So I'm glad it didn't get out of control, and I still have next year to tie it up and get it in place before it really goes crazy over here. I want to just extend it out a little bit more so it can hang over the pathway and add another archway here. What is that? Okay. Another sunflower. It's okay. But it really filled in over here and gave a nice jungle feel to the pergola. I think this is a dahlia trying to bloom. I must have plugged one in here. Yeah, that is a nice little purple dahlia. It's trying there. I don't know why it's struggling so bad. But we have a lot of volunteer trumpet vine. Look at all this volunteer trumpet vine I got to get out of here. All of that will just take over the pergola completely. So I'm going to have to dig those out. There's a lot of work I see walking around the gardens coming into the fall season. Underneath the poplar tree, the new garden space that we made is doing well. We have the sedum starting to bloom, and the burning bush right here is going to be starting to turn bright red real soon. but the poplar's already starting to drop its leaves and it's starting to make it look really nice out here. This was just a growth year for the food forest. I just let everything in here grow this year. I didn't do any maintenance really to it, and I didn't add anything to the food forest. But we do have a lot of berries in here that we're producing. The blackberries, the black raspberries, the red raspberries, and I believe these are still some blackberries that are producing. But I believe these ones are my autumn gold raspberries, but they're red. They're still a little firm, so I don't know what's going on there, but those ones are just starting to produce right now, so I'm thinking those ones might be my autumn gold. But this big blackberry bush has been producing really nice, and we have a really small blueberry bush that's been producing really nice as well. I just grab a handful every time I go up and tend all the animals at the barn, and I'm able to get a couple handfuls each day. It's been producing really nice, just a little bush like this. I'm definitely gonna have to come in here and do a lot of work to get it all tightened up before everything goes wild. What is this blooming down here? Look at this tiny gladiola bloom. Wow, what a late gladiola bloom. It's so tiny too. The island garden doesn't have much going on right now. It's just all taken over by weeds and seed pods from all the finishing perennials. But the burning bush in here is starting to turn red. I think it's a lot drier that it's in the pot, but you can see how this one's going to turn bright red. There's a lot of bright red little flower pods in there. So they're going to be blooming really nicely here soon. And I have a whole hedge of them out front underneath the hemlock tree. The front yard's still looking pretty good. We have the burning bush right here, and none of that has turned red yet, but that's going to be a nice change. Oh, we got a bunny rabbit. Oh, bunny rabbit. I've had a lot of rabbits this year in the garden. On the front corner here, the volunteer coxcomb is still blooming really nice. The sunflowers finished up, and I did prune back all the hostas from their stems and their blooms. And over here on the corner, these hostas really just dried up whenever we stopped getting rain. They just all turned brown, so hopefully they come back fine next year. But we also have this big volunteer pumpkin that's been growing. I didn't do anything to this pumpkin. It's kind of growing on some rocks, but it's a pretty decent sized pumpkin right there, and it's healthy so far. So I'm happy to have a decoration from a volunteer pumpkin. The few blooms that we have out here are from the hydrangeas and a couple dahlias. The salvia is actually blooming a little bit, and the butterfly bush. You can see all the seed pods from the butterfly weed that are blowing around, trying to get those to spread around the property. And the phlox. We have some woodland phlox here that's still blooming. That's a nice color. But the corner's still up, so it's giving us a nice private feel out here in the front garden. All the limelight hydrangeas are starting to tinge their red color. And over here in the front, underneath the big castor beans, we have 2-foot leaves on these castor beans. They might even be 30 inches. Those are big leaves on these castor beans, and they're really filling up this space blocking the roadside. We have 4 of them in here, 5 of them, and they're a really nice size, probably 8 feet tall, and they all bloomed already. You don't really see the bloom because it's inside here, but that is a nice big cola of seeds. Hopefully I can get that to actually mature and have some viable seeds to plant next year. But anyway, down here at the bottom is my biggest pumpkin. I planted this plant a little bit later. And if you've been watching the channel, I've been trying to grow a large pumpkin. And this one's going to be the biggest one that I have this year. It's a real small pumpkin. It's not a giant pumpkin at all, but it's my biggest one. So that's one thing I'm going to be harvesting here soon. But if you've been watching the channel, you know I've been doing a competition with some friends, and they've been growing some pretty good sized pumpkins. So I'm going to be doing a video here soon on just harvesting the giant pumpkins that we grew this year and showing you which one was the biggest. Now I'm going to grab my snips and we'll head down to the vegetable garden where I know there's something to harvest. We're getting some beautiful blooms from this tall red dahlia. This is over 6 feet tall. I'm 6'4" and this is above my head, so we're almost at 7 feet with this tall red dahlia. The zinnias are one of the flowers that always hold out coming into the fall. We have some amaranth down here, which is also a good fall flower. A volunteer squash started coming up out of my raised bed here, so I left that go. Once the fennel forest fell down, I figured why not let this go and see what it can produce. I don't see anything in there except for some tiny little fruits, so this is going to produce some tiny little gourds, and I'll keep it and let it go for some decoration and feed the pigs. Over here in the tomato bed, we definitely have some tomatoes that are ready. I'm going to have to get a basket for those. We have some red ones over here as well, so that's a lot of tomatoes. Oh, we have a bunch in there actually. Look at all those tomatoes. I don't eat tomatoes, so that's all up to my mom to have those, but she's been having as many as she wants, and we have plenty extra to give to all the animals up at the barn. The marigolds in the beds have been doing really well. I really like these brocade marigolds. I'm going to be saving these seeds and using these a lot next year. There's some cucumbers down here on the ground I haven't harvested yet. And the banana peppers are doing real well here. They're starting to change colors in there. And the bell peppers, oh, they got some nice color on them too. Look at those. That's a nice looking pepper. So I definitely need a good sized basket to come down and harvest out of these beds. And look at my potatoes. They are ready. I need to get down here and do the potatoes too. So we have a lot of harvesting to do before these potatoes start revealing and the sun gets to them. So I'm gonna have to dig up this whole bed here. Puppy, you wanna dig? I told you there's definitely things down here in the vegetable garden to harvest. Over here on the squash mound, my second round of plantings actually took. So we have a few things growing out here. A couple little pumpkins in there. That one looks like it got taken by the bugs. Ooh, I don't wanna step on it. But back in here we have some other ones. Ooh, they're growing backwards, so I'm gonna have to check through the weeds here if any are producing. What's in here? Tiny little yellow gourd probably. That might be a Jack B. Little pumpkin actually. A bunch of little tiny ones. Look at this one. That's exactly what that looks like. Little Jack B. Little pumpkin. So we might have some little decorative pumpkins here after October. They don't seem to be ready right now. I did have to plant these later because the first round didn't make it. So we're gonna have to let these go and see if they can produce before the first frost comes. The Empress tree's looking good. We got a 3 trunk on this one, but it's putting on some nice growth this year. Trying to block out that house. And my whole giant pumpkin plant is completely gone. All you can see is a couple marigolds and some remnants of the vines. The bugs got to mine this year and I was not able to save it. But back here growing out of the compost, we have a savior. We have a gourd growing right here. Right here, there's a gourd growing. Nice one too, nice color, good pattern. And we have some nice little pumpkins on this side. These are little Cinderella pumpkins almost, it looks like. They have nice ribbing in them and they're a little bit squattier. And they grew straight up and down too, so it has a nice shape. And these things are growing right out of the compost pile. So there's the root going down. Right in there. And then we have another one down here that's producing that nice one. So really this year my garden has been held together by volunteers. So we're gonna reach in and harvest these 2 today because I think they're ready. Let's get the stem as long as possible. I like a nice long stem on a pumpkin. And we're gonna take this looker too. This bed here at the front of the vegetable garden has been coming back strong. We have a lot of kale that came back and it's getting eaten by the bugs, but I'm able to take that up to the chickens and the ducks. We have a volunteer sunflower that looks like it's gonna produce something nice before the end of the season. A big old marigold that's growing there. Mosquitoes! And the chard's coming back on this side. So it's not the most glorious harvest this year, but we do have something to show a little bit of fall decoration, not have to go buy pumpkins. I was really hoping for some extra pumpkins and squash this year that I could take up to the animals and just smash them all around for them to enjoy. But not every year is a bountiful harvest. If you're interested in seeing the winner of the giant pumpkin contest that me and my friends were doing, I'm going to be doing that video here soon, so make sure you're subscribed down below. I'm also making some big moves in the fish room, so a lot of new aquatic videos are coming too. But that's going to be all for this one. If you love nature, make sure to subscribe down below, hit that like button before you leave, and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.